give a couple seconds for people to get on. I want to make sure that you all can hear me. I will try not to be on here long because the baby is sleeping, and I don't want to have to, stop, because I am actually going to be going live today with a special guest, and I just kind of want to, let's see, I don't know if there's any way for me to tell. I can't see if she's on. But anyway, so if you're watching this live, go ahead and drop a 1 in the comments, and if you're watching replay, drop a 2. So I'll be excited to keep this conversation going. While I'm waiting for my guest to maybe be available, let's just get started. So last night, it was the middle of the night, and I posted about why God brought me back to relaunch my health and wellness business, right? So if you don't know, well, first of all, I'm Cierra Love Holt. I am a author, and I also help people with their health and wellness goals. I just relaunched my health and wellness business, and I have made a personal goal. Okay, she's on. Wonderful. I have made a personal goal of helping 100 people total this year to combat their health and wellness goals, from weight loss to skincare, just different aspects, right, of health. But my main goal right now is, especially from what I've seen in my first month of coming back and working with the group of individuals, is that a lot of people have diabetes, have high blood pressure, have hypertension, have a whole host of the same medical conditions that plague a lot of the Black community. And a lot of people are talking about, Black wealth and building a legacy and generational wealth and giving back to their community and rebuilding communities. Where those things are super important, we have to start at home. And by starting at home, I'm talking about with ourselves, because it does us no good to kill ourselves trying to save everyone else while we're still dying in our own home, and generation after generation, because we aren't taking care of ourselves. Just a little background. You'll see me look over at my notes from time to time, but a little background. So my mom has diabetes. She's had it for years, and she also had thyroid issues. And growing up, going to the doctor with her and then going to a doctor on my own, I never received like a diagnosis, and I've always been super healthy. And I just always thought, that's great. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. And it would always really, really annoy me when people would say, well, you have a history of this in your family, so this is probably wrong, or this is probably going to happen. So now, being older, I'm like, don't project that on me, because really we have to own the responsibility of our health. We have to own that we are able to choose how our health is. Whether, I just posted that people believe the lies that because it runs in your family, because there's a history of it on your mama's side, your daddy's side, whatever, because so-and-so died from it in your family, that's going to be your story. And it doesn't have to be, and it's not going to be if you take the responsibility of getting that in check. So, as I was saying, I used to go to the doctor, and I would fill out the family history form, and it asks, on mom's side, on dad's side, grandparents' side, what is their medical history, right? And I would just be looking like, oh man, this is the same thing I'm hearing all the time from other people in their families, and it just really sucks. This doesn't have to be the case. There's easy ways to remedy these. That doesn't have to be their medical history. So I'm grateful that their story wasn't my story, And that's because I actively made a choice to make it not my story. So, like I said, the importance of this conversation is for the Black community, especially during the times that we are dealing with right now. Moms are dying giving birth because they're being overlooked and they're not given the attention that is required while they're in the hospital rooms. Heart disease is the number one killer for Black males. Corona is funny being the most detrimental to those who have pre-existing health concerns, which of course most of the Black community have not most, I won't say that, but a high percentage of the Black communities have pre-existing health conditions, which made them more acceptable to getting the coronavirus. Of course, we're still getting the flu, we're still getting cancer, we still have heart disease, those types of things going on as well. But because of the vulnerability of those diseases on our bodies, that's allowing us to be a bigger target for these illnesses to, of course, take us out, as they're trying to do. So then there's lack of poor health care insurance and availability for Black communities. And of course the systemic racism that we see, period, but that it also includes medical care when we're able to even get it. So today I want to have a conversation with a diabetes and wellness specialist, Nadine Malcolm of Nadine Lenora, on how the responsibility of our health is ultimately our own and why the generational wealth is the key to generational wealth is first generational health. So let me try to bring her on. Oh gosh, why not? Nadine, it says I can't bring you on. Let's try this again. Why can't I bring you on, girl? Guest request, allow yours to request. Now see what other people are going through every time. Approve.
Hey girl. Ooh, I like your rap.
Oh, thank you. Shanty
So
Soul.
super cute. All right. So there's a little bit of an echo. Let's see. Do you have on headphones or no? Let's see. I don't know if there's an echo actually on the video or not, but we'll continue and we'll work it out. So, you've been watching and listening a little bit to the intro, but let's start off by who are you and what do you specialize in?
Hi guys. My name is Nadine Malcolm, but I go by Nadine Lenora. I am a diabetic wellness specialist. So I'll be helping mostly African Americans try to reverse their type 2 diabetes because right now only type 2 can be reversed, not type 1 yet.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what kind of led you into this direction. And of course, I know the answer to these questions, but it's very important that the audience knows as well why this is important and some key facts about diabetes and type 2.
Okay, so diabetes runs on my dad's side of the family. I personally don't have it, but that doesn't stop me from trying to help the ones who do have it in my family. So I was doing my vision board, and I guess Holy Spirit led me to cut out, what was it? Diabetic health. And from then on is when I knew that that was what my purpose was. So, yeah.
So awesome. I love it. Now, the funny thing is, I don't think you always knew that your dad it ran on your dad's side because you were kind of just like, oh, it doesn't really have anything to do with me, so this is kind of random. But that's awesome that you found that connection. And what's your opinion on the topic of generational health, and especially where it affects the Black community?
I think it's important for parents, especially moms, because we're mostly with the kids most of the time, to try to change their eating habits. Because a lot of African Americans work more than one job. So they don't have time to cook for their family. So all they know is fast food. So the best thing for them to do is try to meal prep. I mean, it might be hard, but you got to make a sacrifice.
And it's like pick your heart, right? Like, would you rather take the time that it requires to meal prep and cook at home, or would you rather take the days off from work, sick days, having to get prescriptions refilled day in and day out, and making trips back and forth to the hospital and to the doctors? Pick your heart. You know. So, um, so I this past month was my first month relaunching my health and wellness business, and I learned that I have about 30 participants, and a very high percentage of them have either diabetes currently or they're in need of losing weight soon because the doctors want to put them on diabetic medication. So, hi, Candace. Um,
That I don't like. That's the first thing that they want to push on you is medication. They don't tell you to try to change your eating habits or start to exercise. They just want to push medication on you.
Exactly. And that's a whole different conversation for me because I will go on a whole rant because I was in healthcare before I left my career. And the number of patients that I had that were in the elderly community that had like 16, 20 pills to take a day, sometimes 12 at a time, and then wondering why they had problems swallowing. Well, let's take a guess. So, and other issues on top of that. But, right, the first thing the doctors know is to go to prescription. And they may suggest, lose weight first or you're going to go on this medication. Those are kind of like the better doctors, if you will. But one thing I learned when I was doing this business the first time around, my brother is actually a doctor. And we were having a conversation about like vitamins and things like that. And basically, it kind of got into like, I don't know, it got under my skin a little bit because somebody or what happened? I end up saying, do they not teach you holistic options in medical school? Like, you don't know anything about how healthy foods help and you don't have to take a prescription? Like, all y'all know is prescriptions? The answer was yes. That was all they know is prescriptions. They don't learn holistic answers. They don't know about holistic remedies or solutions or like common sense things that say, hey, cut down on carbs, cut down on sugars, and it's so crazy to me that these are the people who are in charge of our health, that we are the experts and the people that we go to for the answers because we don't all know, right? And so it's just super crazy to me and sad that those are the people that we are trusting our lives with. And at the end of the day, when they're giving us these prescriptions, they're almost killing us twice as fast.
Especially us African Americans. But that's
Especially as African Americans. And the funny thing about us with prescriptions is we're uh, statistically have the worst health care, can't afford better health care, and even we are seeing the doctors, they know that. So they're going to give us more prescriptions. And those prescriptions are going to be the higher priced ones. And you're going to have to come out of pocket more than your insurance will be able to pay for. And as we know, prescriptions are not intended to heal you. They're not intended to make your illness or disease go away. They're not intended to make it better. They're only intended for you to manage it by meaning, oh, let's subside these symptoms. Let's make you feel like this isn't going on so that you can continue on about your life and be on these pills for the rest of your life and pay money to these companies for the rest of your life, you know? So it's very sad because really when it takes just a diet change or just even a tweaking or a modification of your diet, 30 minutes of exercise, even a brisk walk, it's not that hard to get in 30 minutes. And that's one TV show,
Right.
stand and walk.
So you gotta scrub, scrub, scrub. That's exercise right there because it's gonna raise your heart rate.
There you go. Chasing around my baby, my 10-month-old raises my heart rate, and I'm ready to sit down every time. And so that's my 30 minutes because I'm sure it turns into 30 hours a day. But um, all it takes is these simple modifications to avoid seeing the doctor, to avoid these prescriptions.
There's a lot of lazy people out there.
Yeah. They want a quick solution, a quick, simple, make it go away. I just don't want to feel it. I just want to pretend like it's not there. That is laziness, all of it. It's easier to go to a drive-through. Let me tell you, last month, as a matter of fact, I went live and I was talking about um, building a habit in 21 days, building or breaking a habit in 21 days, and creating a lifestyle in 90, right? And for some reason, for weeks on end, every time my husband and I would go out to eat or get delivery for our family, which is a lot for whatever reason. I guess it just got lazy with cooking. But they were always messing up our order. Always. And I was like, I know this is a sign. I know it. But I really want pizza. But my husband really wants wings. So, like, we kept doing it. But I know for a fact that going out to eat just isn't the answer. Like, I know that they're killing us. So why? And of course I try to supplement it with just making smarter decisions with what I order, which is still a step in the right direction if you're going to, eat out and indulge. But we just have to stop being lazy with our thinking, have to stop being lazy with our choices that we make for ourselves. I say the choice that you're making isn't getting you one step closer to your goal, or if it's not adding life to you, then that shouldn't be a decision that you make. That should be an automatic no, right? So laziness is definitely something, and it's a mindset issue as well. So it just really has to change. So that's funny that we actually talked about. The next question I had was, how can someone change their health record, their medical bill of health at any point in life? So of course we said, cooking versus going out to eat. But what if you're younger and, excuse me, you're diagnosed with a condition that your parents had? Because I know you also deal with childhood diabetes as well, right?
But most kids, from what I've seen, have type 1. Like the type 1 is usually catered to children. But if it's like, what age are you talking about? Like they can cook for themselves, or
No, really before they're able to be independent.
it all goes back to the parents.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the parents don't want to give them healthy stuff, but like, how much can I do? I
Exactly.
can't help you if you're not willing to help yourself, or even
And so
help
as
your.
a yeah, so as a parent, why would you want to put your child in that situation before the child even comes into the world and you're already not taking care of yourself? Not that you're not taking care of yourself, but you're not taking that extra step or doing the extra measures to make sure that you don't pass on um, the health issues that you have. When your child is old enough to start eating and doing for themselves, what do you do different? Like you change your eating habits, you change your lifestyle, but for nothing else, even if it's not for you, for those kids that you brought into the world and have no control. Like you don't want them getting on staying on medication from a young age, and that's all they know when there's other options like being healthy. And so and I ask that because if we're talking about building generational wealth and legacy, it starts with health. It has to be first because if you're going to teach from a baby up to adolescence and teenage and adult years, they only know what they're taught. They only know what was in their environment. If they see pill popping day in and day out, that's what they're going to know, and that's what they're going to be used to. They're not going to think to say, oh, I can just buy more vegetables than bread. I can just buy more, eat more fruits and vegetables and go for a walk at least twice a day. Twice a day, twice a week. That's better than nothing instead of being on medication. Candace asked if diabetes is hereditary.
It could be sometimes, like type 1 is hereditary, but type 2, you get it as you get older.
And the thing about even things being hereditary, I mentioned it in the post that I just shared as well. Things can be hereditary. Things can be in your bloodline. Things can be in your family medical history. But that doesn't mean that that has to stay with you. You are able to change that. You are able to make the choice to say, okay, I know my grandmother had it. I know my mom had it. I know my dad's cousins and uncles had it. I don't want to be like them. So I'm going to make the conscious choice to change, like to not gain weight, to not be overweight, to eat healthy. Because at least even if you have the diagnosis, it could be borderline. It could be benign. Like it can be what's it called? Like inactive. You can have those diagnoses and it still not affect you. So you said because some kids have type 1 and from a tender age are on insulin. That's just
Yeah,
because that's the first thing they go to. Go ahead.
and there's no cure for it yet, but you can control it, but there is no cure. There's
So
no
there's
result.
no cure for type 1 diabetes, which is what
Most kids.
usually, yeah, affects children. So, but that's why we were saying also if you, as the parent, because at that point, at that age, they usually don't have the control of what they're eating. They don't have the control of their lifestyle. That's why it's so important as the parent to take that compassion and care for your child that you brought into this world to not have to deal with this. Like you don't want them to be on insulin for the rest of their life. So you find out options for how can we naturally manage this? How can we avoid the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on insulin and medication and medical bills? Those things are in place really from the economics of it, if we're really being honest. And because we have that option, and that's the other thing, when you have wealth, you can pay to be healthier. When you have wealth and you have options and other resources available to you, then you don't have to worry about as much these types of conversations. Yes, it may still be in your family, but you have better ways to manage it. You have better resources to not even have to deal and continue to pass these things on to your legacies, to your future family.
But then again, it's also a mindset thing, like you said before.
100%.
They, so, in the hood, African Americans like to buy sneakers and jewelry,
Yes.
and instead of buying all that stuff, they can swap it out for healthier foods.
Easy. Oh, okay. All right. As I projected, the babies start crying. So give me 1 second. Oh, so I'll wrap it up. She got woke up, but I'll wrap it up. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, right. The decisions that we choose to make money on. So there's a lot of situations, of course, that I come in contact with the health and wellness business where I speak to people who say that they don't have the money for the supplements and things like that. It's one thing if the doctor told you to lose 40 pounds or you're going to go on this medication, and then I see you posting about your shopping, you're eating out every day, you're buying a whole bunch of drinks, you are, and I'm not judging anybody, but what I'm saying is choices.
Hmm.
It's a mindset thing. If you can actively go and spend $60, $80 to go shopping, to make sure you have the new iPhone that's the same as the last five, to go buy the shoes that are just the same of different colors. Like, they're choices, you know? And even the supplements, even though they're plant-based and they're vegan and they don't have chemicals and additives and artificial agents in them, even though that's healthier for you, you think, oh, that's expensive. Or you think, I'll have to wait a couple paychecks because in your mind, you're like, well, I really want to get my hair and nails done. You know, I'll worry about that later. But the doctor's telling you they about to give you a prescription that costs $600, and your insurance gonna pay 10% of it if you even have insurance, or you're gonna be paying out of pocket. So it's really about choices and the mindset and thinking past today, thinking outside of yourself, thinking about yourself, yes, but then thinking outside of yourself, your kids, your future. What point is it to make and build a legacy and you can't even live to see your legacy live it out? You did all of this work to put in for your future to live a healthy life, but then you're also passing down a bill of health, whether it's debt, whether it's medical bills, whether it's this health condition that you didn't manage. There's options. So, how is gestational diabetes? How does it come about? What causes it? And how does a pregnant mother prevent the same?
Gestational diabetes, you get, only women get it, and they only get it while they're pregnant. But if you were to get pregnant again, it's possible that you would develop diabetes. But I will do more research on that, and I will get back to you, Candace.
And the other thing about gestational diabetes is it kind of isn't really in the same lane because it has more to do with your body creating more of the chemicals or chemical imbalance has to do with the baby in utero more so than a life. It's not a lifetime illness or anything like that. Does anyone else have questions? Let's see. Let me read a couple of the comments. I tell people all the time the medical field is a business. They don't care about you actually surviving. That's your job to care about yourself. Educate yourself. Yes, they don't care about you enough to educate you. You have to educate yourself. 100%. 120%. So I don't know. I don't think we have any other questions. But if you guys do have more questions, please put them in the comments. Like I said before, if you're watching this live, please put a 1 in the comments. If you're watching the replay, please put a 2 in the comments. And um, we will continue to answer questions as they come because this is a very, very serious topic. And I think it's very much overlooked because especially in our climate right now, a lot of people are focusing primarily on, oh, we have to give money back to the Black community. We have to do this for the Black community, but we're not thinking about how to extend the life of the Black community.
It's not
How to
always,
make, go ahead.
I said it's not always about money.
It's not. It's absolutely not. So, I mean, what else can you say? Um, all right. Let's see if I had any more points. Oh, we were talking about mindset. I was going to say what's more expensive, getting regular prescriptions on the regular and no medical, or having no medical bills. Um, and that was pretty much it. We really hit everything. This conversation is necessary. And I really hope that it gets shared. I really hope that other people contribute in the comments since they may have missed it live. Um, but while it's like in conclusion, while it's important to build a legacy, it's important to create wealth and a legacy that our family continues to see, year after year after we're gone, it's more important for us to be here to see that happen. Um, you want to live long enough to see your legacy live out the vision that you created and that you turned into a reality. Um, and I guess that's it. Do you have anything you want to add, Nadine, before we sign off? You want to tell them how to find you and get more of your information on diabetes?
Well, I'm on Facebook as Nadine Lenora and on Instagram as Nadine dot
I,
Lenora underscore. I
I think I'll tag it. I'll put it in the caption so they can find you for sure. But yeah, so like I said, this conversation wasn't a plug for my business. It wasn't a plug for anyone to, hate the pharmaceutical companies and doctors, but it's really necessary that we take responsibility for our own health and don't just rely on the fact that it runs in our family. Don't just rely on the fact that so and so in my family had it, so that's my story and I'm sticking to it. No. You have the option, you can make the choice for that not to be your story. That's history, doesn't have to be yours. And it's not a death sentence if if the doctor diagnoses you, because you have the option to go and change that picture for yourself. So that's all I have. Nadine, thank you so much, sis. I love you. I love you. I love you. Love you to life. Thank you for doing this last minute for me. And next time I will be inviting another one of my sisters on to talk about um, in the same vein of generational health and wealth, where we'll be talking about generational wealth on that side and poverty mindset. So I hope that you all join us again, and I enjoy this conversation. Thank you all. You all take care. Be blessed. Thank you. Bye. Bye, sis.